Let's take a look at adding and subtracting polynomials. We'll start with 3x squared plus 5x minus 9 plus 12x squared minus 8x plus 7. As we add polynomials, we always combine like terms. So I can see the 3x squared is like the 12x squared. They both are x squared terms, so what we're going to do is add the coefficients. 3 plus 12 gives me 15x squared. As I move on to the next term, 5x, I can see it is like my negative 8x term. 5 minus 8 gives me a negative 3, and I keep the x. To finish, I have constants of negative 9 and positive 7. Negative 9 plus 7 gives me a negative 2. Just to keep us familiar with our new terminology, we have 3 terms in our answer, which makes this a trinomial. The highest degree of the 3 terms would come from the 15x squared, which is a power of 2, so this would be a trinomial of degree 2. Our second example says y cubed plus 7y squared minus 8y minus parentheses 2y squared plus 4y minus 5. It's very important here that you look at the negative sign being applied to the whole piece of 2y squared plus 4y minus 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this expression. I'm going to have y cubed plus 7y squared minus 8y. Then I'm going to distribute the negative sign to each term. So I'll have a minus 2y squared, then I have minus 4y, then the negative 5 becomes a positive 5. So super important that you pay attention to the signs before you start combining terms. Now I'm looking for how do things match. So I'm going to start with the y cubed term. As I go through and look, I don't find another y cubed term, so I'm just going to leave y cubed alone. Then I'm going to go to the 7y squared term, and I notice that there's a negative 2y squared. So I'm going to put these two together. 7 minus 2 gives me a positive 5y squared. Moving to the negative 8y, I see I have a negative 4y, which gives me negative 12y when I put those two together. And then my very last term, which is a positive 5, doesn't have another term to go with it, so I say plus 5. This time I have 4 terms. Anything over 3, we don't try to put a special name to. We just call this a polynomial. But I can talk about the degree. The highest degree of the 4 terms would be 3, so this is a polynomial of degree 3. So I have one more example. This time I have 0.4z minus 3.8z squared plus 2.9z plus 5.3z squared minus 8.2z. Notice this time I have 1, 2, 3 terms that are just z. So I need to put those 3 numbers together. So we're going to put together 0.4 plus 2.9 minus 8.2, which gives me a negative 4.9. You can do that part in your calculator. Just make sure you're looking at putting the coefficients together. So now I have negative 4.9, and let's put our z back in. Then the last 2 terms that are left over, both are z squared. So I have a negative 3.8 and a positive 5.3, which gives me a positive 1.5z squared. If you want to, you can rewrite this to kind of go in descending order of 1.5z squared, our highest power, and then our lower power of 4.9z. Now, as we finish, we notice this is a binomial. It only has 2 terms, and the highest power is 2, so this would be of degree 2.